When I watched Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 in cinema in 2010, I remember leaving the cinema feeling quite unsatisfied because, let's face it, this isn't the most exciting Harry Potter movie, especially not when you're this close to the climax of Harry Potter. However, now, after revisiting this movie 15 years later, I can see why it's necessary, and this time, knowing what to expect, I could actually appreciate several aspects of this movie a lot more. So that's what we're gonna get into in this video, why this movie was boring, but necessary, and maybe not so bad after all. First of all, this movie is the first Harry Potter movie to do a lot of things. This is the first Harry Potter movie where there's no Hogwarts, no teachers, no safety net, nothing. At least for the majority of this movie, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are all alone for the first time. And things are pretty rough. This movie shows us the low point of the Harry Potter franchise. And I don't mean the low point in like movie quality, but the low point story-wise and emotionally. Dumbledore is dead, the Ministry of Magic is infiltrated by Death Eaters, and Voldemort and hundreds of Snatchers are out to kill Harry Potter. All the while Harry, Ron, and Hermione are miserable, completely helpless, and have no clue what to do next.
He doesn't know what he's doing, does he?
None of us do.
I feel like you can't show us this low point, this terror, this helplessness, in form of a movie that's fun, engaging, and hopeful. So while watching this movie, in a way, it makes us as an audience feel exactly how Ron, Hermione, and Harry are probably feeling themselves. Watching this movie feels draining, hopeless, and sad. Now, should you aspire to produce a movie that makes the audience feel like that? Probably not, and as I said, the first time watching this movie I had very different expectations, so it left me feeling unsatisfied. But revisiting this movie now, here's why I think in the grand scheme of things, making us feel like that was necessary. Before things get better, things need to get worse, and this low point that we're seeing in this movie shows us everything that we were so afraid of happening for the last 6 years at Hogwarts. Showing us this terror, this miserable world lets us know what our heroes are fighting to prevent. It wouldn't have been enough to just give us 20 minutes of feeling hopeless and then things already get better. In hindsight, I like that this movie dares to really drag us through the hardship and struggles our protagonists that we've come to love over all these years go through, and sets an amazing stage for the final movie to really deliver. Back then, after I left the cinema, I mainly felt unsatisfied because I then knew that I had to wait another year to finally see the climax. But now that you can basically watch the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2 back to back, it makes the final movie hit much harder. In a way, it does all the emotional and expositional heavy lifting so that the final movie can really shine. From today's perspective, being able to watch them back to back and knowing that part 2 is gonna be awesome, I would have been really annoyed if they would have tried to squeeze all of this into one single movie. Like, as Harry Potter fans, shouldn't we just be happy to get more Harry Potter? Because this last book was split into 2 movies, we could really feel the emotions, dive into the tough times, and also properly set things up like the 3 Deathly Hallows. Basically, if we would think of this as a series where you have a lot more time, and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 would have been the first 5 episodes of that series, and then Part 2 would have been the last 5 episodes, I would have absolutely loved the series as a whole. But because we're in the movie world and each movie has to also work individually, it's really easy to criticize this movie. But speaking of criticizing this movie, which is really easy to do, I think it also has some great elements going for it individually that you can easily miss or forget because you're just waiting for part 2. So now I want to share some of these elements with you, starting with my 3 favorite scenes. My first favorite scene is how Harry Potter escapes to the safe house. That entire scene of everybody drinking Polyjuice potion to become Harry Potter is great and an amazing visual spectacle to start off the movie. It brings back so many characters from the past movies and immediately sets the stakes for this movie by having Mad-Eye Moody and Harry's owl die. Kind of showing us, okay, the gloves are off now, anybody can die just like that. Also, we get that quick duel between Voldemort and Harry Potter while Harry is on Hagrid's bike and Voldemort is flying beside him, and that's really an amazing duel that is visually so stunning. My second favorite scene is the story about the Deathly Hallows.
Asked for a wand more powerful than any in existence.
So Death fashioned him one.
It's one of these great examples where splitting the last book into 2 movies gives us the time for things exactly like this, and I absolutely love it. What a great story, and what an amazing way the animators brought it to life. It had its own totally unique animation style that was totally different from the rest of the movie, and apparently 32 artists worked on that scene for 6 months. So credit where credit is due, they did an amazing job. My third favorite scene is Dobby's death.
Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Just hold on.
Oh, what? I like to see Dobby die? Well, no, of course I didn't want Dobby to die, but from a cinematic perspective, ending the movie with the death of a very likable character, I think leaves you with that tough feeling in your chest, which is, I think, exactly the feeling we're supposed to have after this movie. And now, under my usual umbrella of looking at an older movie from an adult's perspective and looking for a deeper meaning, there's another aspect that I could appreciate about this movie a lot more from today's perspective. And that's the lesson behind the long, tough journey Harry, Ron, and Hermione go through in this movie. Now, knowing what to expect in this movie and being a lot older, I could empathize with that long, endless grind they were going through a lot more. And the lesson I see in that is the following. If you know what goal you want to reach but have no idea how to get there, that's okay. Just start. Just take the first step. Just follow the first clue or your first instinct, and you'll figure it out as you go. Will every step you take on that journey be the right step? No, of course not, but that's also fine. Taking 100 steps and having, let's say, 90 of those steps turn out to be the wrong step, it's probably still a lot better than not taking a step at all. Now, some of you maybe know exactly where I'm going with this, but to all of you that are wondering, how could that possibly be the lesson that I learned from Harry Potter 7? Let's break it down. In this movie, Harry, Ron, and Hermione have the goal to find all the remaining Horcruxes and destroy them. That's the goal, but they have no idea where they are and how to destroy them. All they know is that they can be any object, that they probably have some connection to Voldemort, that Tom Riddle's diary could be destroyed with basilisk venom, and one of the Horcruxes is this necklace.
Dumbledore sends you off to find all these Horcruxes, but doesn't tell you how to destroy them. Doesn't that bother you?
Sounds like a pretty impossible task, right? Like, where do you even start, and what are the right steps? Well, Harry, Ron, and Hermione also had no clue. Their first mission is to find the real necklace, but once they find that, they have no idea how to destroy it and what the other remaining Horcruxes even are. But does that mean that they just stop? No, they could have, but they don't.
Maybe we should just stay here, Harry. Grow old.
Instead, they just take the next step. They read books, they try to find clues, they try different places, and almost die. But hey, they didn't die, so they took a wrong step and recovered from it and just kept going. Sometimes really just wandering around aimlessly, hoping to find something. Now, from a cinematic perspective, it's questionable if you should really have your 3 protagonists wander around aimlessly for the majority of the movie, but for this lesson it works really well because that's real life. Real life isn't always exciting. You don't make progress whenever you feel like it's about damn time.
What part of this isn't living up to your expectations?
You just keep going and someday you'll make the progress you've been hoping for. Just like Harry, Ron, and Hermione finally find the Sword of Gryffindor and manage to destroy their first Horcrux, taking a big step forward on their mission to defeat Voldemort. So, does that mean that there's nothing wrong with this movie and that it's an absolute masterpiece? No, of course not. It for sure has some pacing issues, could have been trimmed down slightly more, like it's 2.5 hours long, and it could have also benefited from a slightly more exciting final battle. But revisiting this movie, knowing what to expect, I hope I could show you some of the aspects that I really like this movie for, and why it makes the last movie even better. And speaking of the last Harry Potter movie, that's what my next video is going to be on, so if you like this video, stick around, and then I'll see you on the next one. Bye. There's no Hogwarts, no t-shirts, no teachers. So since Dobby died in the story, I think this is a very good spot to put that death. Why can't I say that? That sounds weird. So since Dobby died in the story, I think this is a very good spot to put that. I can't say it. Okay, I'm just scratching that.